Welcome back. So, across 2025, I'm going to be preparing for my return to Ironman racing. And that's going to happen in July at Challenge Roth. And I've had some friends ask me for thoughts about updating my book going long. So, a series of articles that I'm going to be publishing as I prepare is really an update of that book, which was quite popular when Joe Friel and I published the first and second edition of it. So you can find it on the Endurance Essentials website. And we're here. Right now it's at the top, at least part 2 is. I published that on Monday. And you just click the ebook page, and then you slide down. This is Endurance Essentials chapters. And you just slide down to where it says Gordo's Guide to Going Long. Now today we are going to talk about a workout that should be front of mind whenever you're training for an Ironman event. And you can use these principles for shorter events, but where they really come to the fore is when you're doing the ultra distance. So let's click through. I put it right in part 1. And part 1 covered planning your season, choosing your event, supporting races and events, and today, the best workout for Ironman. So let's click that and take us down there. So we're going to shrink me down and move me over. Now, when you're preparing for this workout, you've got months to put the pieces together. So although I call it a workout, it's actually 4 workouts that are combined to make effectively a broken Ironman race for you. And it'll drive home a couple things. It'll drive home the huge amount of output required on your day. And for most people, you will realize just how much you have to hold back and how difficult it is to hold back in the early part of the race. And by the early part of the race, I really mean the whole swim, the whole bike, and the first half of the run. There's a lot of holding back going on. And this workout will help you get comfortable with that because there will be people all around you in the race who will not be holding back. And it is very challenging to keep our head when everybody's just stressed out and kind of going bananas around us. And that's their deal. And sometimes they're actually a lot faster than us. But most of the time, you're just going to see them later in the day when the chickens come home to roost from poor early pacing. So first up, fastest way to the finish line for you, easy swim. A bike where you average the top of your zone 1 power, and then a marathon that builds to a tempo effort. That's going to be the quickest way to manage your energy across the race. Now, if there's hills and other things in effect, yes, this will adjust. But for almost everybody that's out there, what I just outlined is the quickest way to the finish line. And I introduced that with a video called Principles of Progressive Pacing for Triathlon. And that's in the YouTube archives. You can find that there. Now, here's what we want to do on our workout. It's really an event. We want to practice a lot of different things. We want to practice our race breakfast. And we want to do that at whatever time relative to our race start. So we get that sorted. And then we're going to kick off with a swim. I like the swim to be a little more than the race distance. So 4,000 to 5,500 meters of swimming. You can do that as masters. You can combine it with a great way to do it if your masters squad doesn't swim that far is to turn up early and do extra distance before you do the master's workout. Then an efficient transition. And by efficient, you don't have to run or go crazy, but I want you to kind of move through that relatively quickly. And if you're not planning on eating in first transition, then I don't want you eating between the swim and the bike of this simulated workout. Because remember, it's a race simulation. Then I want you to do a one-stop ride. And what's that? You need to set your bike up so that you can carry enough food and fluids and everything you need so that you can do a ride with a single stop, just one reload for 160K, 100 miles, one stop ride. And on that ride, First thing to do is just relax, settle in, and then start eating and drinking at race levels. So you're going to be checking your race nutrition and your race hydration. First time you do this, what I recommend you do is sit on this high zone 1 power average for the first 40 minutes of each hour. And then the last 20 minutes of each hour, I want you to go slightly higher. And just slightly. It's not like moving up a whole zone. So it's going to feel quite easy at the beginning of this ride. And that's okay. It's going to change as we go through it. And I want you to experience that change. Now, if you haven't practiced this kind of high zone 1 and then lifting, say 5% for power, but it's really about a half a zone, lifting a bit, and then coming back for another 40 minutes, a little bit up for 20 minutes, back for 40 minutes, and you go back and forth just like that. If you haven't practiced that before, then what I want you to do is you can make that ride easier, where instead of going up, you can actually go down a little bit. But you'll need to adjust your definition of race pace to reflect the fact that you're not able to lift. So you're going to be sitting under the top of zone 1 if you haven't proven it in training. I want you to stay on the aero bars as much as possible. So choose a route with minimal stops and that you'll be on the bars. And remember, the most aero position is one that you can stay in. So you need to flush out if your aero position is comfortable. If it's not comfortable, you're going to find yourself on the drops, sitting up, kind of moving around. You're going to have to change that position. Almost everybody is going to need to jack up that front end much higher than what they see the elites and top amateurs using. And you might even need to, I've had to buy some specialty screws from Amazon because Profile doesn't make screws long enough for how high I want my front end. And you might have to make some adjustments. Do that well before the race so that you can dial in that position. But if you can't hold it in training, there's no way you're going to be holding it in the race, and that discomfort is going to screw up your digestion and it's going to impair your marathon because you're just not going to be relaxed processing calories and processing fluids. Okay, now as we get into the 4th and 5th hour of the ride, I want you to notice how you're feeling, particularly that last 20-minute block where you're going to lift, that final 20-minute lift. How does that feel? Is it still feeling comfortable? We're about to find out. So now the ride's over, another efficient transition. And what I want you to do in transition is I want you to drink a massive recovery drink. And whatever your typical recovery drink is, my favorite one is just almond milk or rice milk with some whey protein powder. About a liter of that. I want you to drink it when you come off the bike, and it's going to force you to start the run slow and relaxed. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to run slow and easy for 10K and just look at how you feel. How's the heart rate compared to the pace? And are you feeling good? And when you get to the end of that 10K, it's going to have been a very large day. Know that on game day, I'm going to recommend you do a 20-mile tempo run to finish your Ironman. So you need to wrap your head around that. And at that point, that is your reality check for, am I ready to run 20 miles? If the answer is there's no way I'm ready to run 20 miles, well, you're going to have to dial down all that early pacing, dial down the swim. You might need to eat more and drink more. Maybe there's some depletion going on, but this is going to flush out how you're doing and how you're feeling. Also, if you're unsure of your ability to run the whole way, practice run walk. Your race isn't over if you walk a little bit. I've gone 2:46 in a marathon doing run walk off the bike and power walk those aid stations, get what I need. My heart rate's dropping, make sure I get in my calories and my fluids. Train it. It's kind of nice mentally, but also you get different muscle activation. Now the workout's not finished. I've explained 3 out of the 4 workouts to you: the swim, the bike, and that first run. Now the second run is the next day. And what I want you to do the next day is your long run. Now, if you wake up the next day and you're like, there is no way that I'm going to be having a decent run, no problem. Push that run out to maybe you need 2 days to recover. Maybe you got to go out 3 days. But know that ultimately you're going to want to be able to do the big day, the swim, bike, and run, and then follow it up with a long run. Ideally, you'll get this whole package of workouts into a 24-hour period. And that's going to let first off, it's great training for your general capacity, but also it's going to build confidence that you're going to need to hold back early when everybody's kind of going nuts around you and you don't blow your day. Now, even if you blow your day, no, there's a lot of time to recover out there. It's a very long day. So I've cracked myself mid-bike, pulled it together, and had some great marathons. So you're not out of the game just because you're having a bad patch. There's normal ups and downs in the event. Let's get into that final run for you. It's right here. So I want you to start this long run at the same time of day that you're going to be getting off the bike. And ideally the same sort of conditions. So I used to do these no shade, in the sun, out at the Boulder Reservoir, and I would set my car up as a aid station, and I would do laps. So I could come back to my car and I could get fluids and calories just like I planned to do in the race. 4 loops. And you want this run to take about 2 hours. First loop, easy. You might be feeling a bit stiff from the big day. And then I want you to do 3 25 minutes effort intervals at core pace. What's core pace? Core pace is what you think your Ironman pace is going to be. Your core pace from the race. Now, for most of us, it's going to be easy pace. But if you're a hotshot, top amateur, elite, it might be pretty punchy. Well, let's test it. So we're going to go 25 minutes at core pace and then 5 minutes easy. And so if it's 4 loops, you want to be looking for a loop that's going to take you about 30 minutes. So kind of figure that out in your head so that in that 5 minute, you hit your car and you can get your drinks and your calories each loop and then test it out. Now you're going to have basically most of your race completed, ideally, depending on your fitness, within 72 hours and then within 48 hours and then within 24 hours. So the magic of race day is you're going to be sitting at or under these velocities when you try and put everything together. So don't go into the race thinking, oh, the taper's going to speed me up. It's not going to do that. What it's going to do is enable you to put things together. And you need to put it together in training. So this workout sounds fairly extreme, and it is relative to people that don't do Ironmans. But if you're training for an Ironman, this is the best way to flush out your training. There's a lot more going to be coming at you in the series. As I said, it's on Endurance Essentials. If you want to just hear the video highlights, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'll keep posting highlights for you. Thanks for listening. Wishing you a great year.